Welcome back to part 2 of the final stream. So we have about an hour and 20-ish minutes to go. We're gonna get the timer started. So it should be running right now. There it goes. And we're just gonna finish it off. We have just a little bit of time left in this challenge. If you're new here or you're just catching this stream as your first stream, or if you already saw part 1 or you didn't watch it at all and you're just stumbling upon part 2 and happen to be watching this, this is it. This is going to be the stream where I get to 60 hours because we are not going to take any more breaks. We just took a break for food and water, and I took a little mind break, and now I'm ready to finish this off. So we are going to start, or we're going to continue working on our website here. So I guess maybe it won't hurt to recap what we've been doing. We've been working on my own personal website, mrgcoding.com, that has 2 sections, one for Scratch, one for computer science, and we've been working on Scratch posts or articles. Just before we finished the how to use broadcast events article, and also how to use the show and hide sprites article. So we are, when we finished last, just about an hour ago, we stopped by maybe breaking down what I'm planning on doing after this stream is over, in the coming days and weeks. I'm probably gonna break up the Scratch tutorial into 3 sections. Maybe a beginner section that I think I just finished, an intermediate one, and an advanced section. So I think if someone were to read 1 through 11, they will pretty much know everything they need to know to be able to create almost any project, any simple project at least. So now it's a matter of maybe making more articles and figuring out how I'm going to group them, so that way I don't have just 1 through whatever it ends up being, 40 something articles all in one section, or maybe even more, or maybe less. But yeah, I just don't want a drop down that's that big. It should be, we could make it into sections. We could have a beginner, intermediate, and advanced section for someone trying to read and learn this stuff. I also know that I have to create a hat block events video that covers the different event blocks that exist. And actually there are 7, but I'm going to put an asterisk there because the 7th one is not found in the events palette. It's actually found in the control palette. So that's just something to keep in mind if and when I make that video. All right. So where were we? Okay. We had come up with the sections. Maybe we could start creating those sections. So let me customize the, not customization. I'm clicking the wrong things here. We are going to go to the appearance, or the menu section in the appearance section. WordPress it's very powerful, but there's so many different settings and menu options and all these different things that it can become pretty tough. Okay, how would I make a section, another section? Categories. I could do one for Maybe what I could do is I could possibly create a new category and then assign the beginner category to all of these, and then just show the beginner categories. Let me see what this looks like if I just do the Scratch events palette. Let me add that to the menu. And so now it's a category, but I don't know what would fall underneath it. If I would have to maybe I can't do submenus. Can I? Let me see if I could do something in Learn Scratch, I would have this, and then we would have menus under here. So let me save this and just see what this looks like, even though I'm kind of breaking my project right now. Let's do a preview. So we should still have our Learn Scratch section, and we have the events palette. Okay, perfect. All right, so this is what I'm gonna end up. I'm probably gonna end up doing something like this, where I'm gonna break it up into other sections and categorize them in there. So this will make perfect sense. This will be good. All right, so let me just remove that for now because we're not ready for these categories. So let me remove this category. And I wonder if there's any way for me to make a custom section without having to create like another page or post or anything like that, or a category. I guess I don't have a choice. I have to create a new category and call it maybe beginner, intermediate, and advanced. I guess I don't have a choice, but at least I know that's what I'm gonna have to do. So that's just what we're gonna have to work with. Maybe I could create a page that has them, but no, it doesn't make sense to keep creating pages. We're just gonna have to create a new category and put them in as subcategories or whatever it is, sub items. Okay. Is there anything else? Okay, I think that's it. So that's it from the menu. Let me just make sure it's all saved. And let's go back to our pages. Not our pages, our posts. So now in our posts section, this is where this is where I have all the posts I just created. Let's I guess maybe we could just keep working on the next one. Or you know what, to change it up just a little bit, because we have about an hour and 13 minutes left. We're gonna maybe decide to write the Twitter post that we're gonna work on. Ooh, whoa! There's another one here. Post backdrop color switcher. So that might be a project. You know what? Maybe I could have another category that's simple projects, or just project examples. Maybe something like that. Project examples, because then I could have the. I did one on what was it? Infectious diseases or something. Or disease spread, that's what it is. So I made one on that. We could do one on the backdrop color switcher. So that could change. We can make a very simple one that does that. That's actually even simpler than disease spread. So this is maybe for our beginners. Let me get rid of the website post. Yeah, I wrote that I wasn't going to do the how to use events. But I did say I was going to probably create a video on events and how they work. I'll leave it for now. And now that I have 10 articles, I can start posting on Twitter. So what would I like to share, and how would I share it? Maybe it would be something like, okay, so let me look at the articles I have. First time using Scratch. Maybe if you've never used Scratch before, so maybe something like this. Twitter post. The first one could be, I don't know. I'm trying to think like what would be like the most captivating or engaging. Part of me just wants to do like, if you've never used Scratch, if you never coded in Scratch before, but I don't know. So that's like that's what like my I'm thinking might make sense, but it's probably not that easy. So this is where like a marketing mind, or like I don't know, a better mind than mine for selling things would be better, because I have no idea how to say things so that other people read them and then I guess I don't want to call it clickbaity, but for me, it's just like, if you've never done this, this will show you how, or something like that. But I don't think that's the way you get people to click things. New to Scratch. Hello, Sama, by the way. New to Scratch. Actually, new to Scratch is much better than if you've never coded in Scratch before. See already that is much better than that is already much better than I would have come up with. But one of my coworkers actually is really good at making Twitter posts and making them like clickbaity, or they make you want to click on them and see what it is that she has, or whatever link she's sharing or whatever. So I might have to contact one of my coworkers because she is an absolute beast at she uses emojis. Yeah, I mean, it might not be attractive, but I'm not good at that. This is the one aspect that I'm not good at. But the only way to get better is to actually just keep having to force myself to make posts. New to Scratch, join or visit, and then maybe the link. To learn how to move a character on screen using code or something like that. I don't know. I have no idea, but maybe something like that. Check out. Check out. I like check out better than visit. Visit sounds very like formal. Check out. And then probably hashtags matter and stuff like that. So like Scratch, programming, I don't know. And the Scratch would I'd probably link it to I'd probably connect it to the official Scratch MIT Twitter handle. Something like that. Because then they might get a notification, they might retweet it or like it, and then other people that are following them would see it. I don't know. Actually don't really. This is not something I'm interested in, but it's something that definitely would require a bunch of time. But already I could tell Sama, just with your two suggestions, it's already 40 times better than what I came up with. So clearly I have a lot of room for improvement when it comes to writing Twitter posts, because that's why pretty much I don't post, because I have no idea what to post and I have no idea how to make it how to sell something. And I don't mean sell hey, buy this, but how to make it so that someone's oh, that's what I want, that's what I need, let's click it and see how to do it. All right. So I said project examples. So Twitter posts, YouTube videos, create an intro video for the Scratch interface. Oh, this is another video I can make. So let me remove that from here and put that up here. So this is another video I should make, actually showing the Scratch interface. So my first, on MrGCoding.com right now, my first thing on Scratch just says that there are 5 main sections. So this article right now, I think, could use a video. So for article 1 or post 1, the online Scratch interface, I think a video would be nice for me to actually show and say what I'm pointing to here. So that's another video to make. Let's see, what else is there? So I gotta make sure I know I'm going to use Twitter posts. Create lots of articles, blog posts on a specific subject topic. Actually, what would be useful? Maybe seeing how what Google does show up right now. So how to move. I think this is what someone who's learning Scratch would type in. I mean, hopefully they would use Google. So how to move characters in Scratch. Maybe that's something they would type in. All right, so where is this coming from? More items. WikiHow. Oh, it's going to be hard to compete with WikiHow. Now that Google's grabbed them. And literally just pasting it in there. All right. And actually, this is showing the version 2. This has not been updated in forever. So this could definitely be. I don't know why it says last updated November 2019, because these pictures are just way off. But maybe. And look at all these ads. Jeez, they have ads everywhere. In between every post. On the sidebar. Sponsored video. Come on. Jeez. This is ridiculous. And it looks like there's some questions here. What if I want to be able to move it? If you want the sprite to move, then use the following code. How to sprite left to right. Change by. In Scratch, the character moves which on the stage. The character which moves on the stage is called what? A sprite. Okay. Maybe even another one would be, what is a sprite? I think that was something you coding newbie. You think maybe someone would click on it. I don't know what people search for. I'm gonna have to think about it and like look on Twitter and see what accounts people follow. I think there's one that's like CS teaching tips or something like that. I think it's this one. Yes, it's this one. So this one has 8,200 followers, and they in the past they've had some good tweets that were like I've clicked on, where it was like articles that they had created or that they were sharing. So something like this: misconception. Students get confused about why every character in NetLogo is called a turtle. So this could be something. What's a sprite maybe? So a question that someone might ask is, what's a sprite? Which also probably could require another article. What's a sprite? Well, that's the topic. It might be the title also. I don't know. Have students find the best method of sorting a group of unknown weights. Teach them about sorting algorithms. Okay, so that's more of a computer science topic, tweet thing. Provide students with app So these are really tips for, obviously, tips for teaching CS. Wow, I'm Captain Obvious today. All right, let's see what else. Please watch this fantastic video about the erasure of slavery. Use physical activities to demonstrate sorting algorithms and help students build intuition about it. But I mean, look how many likes this thing's getting and the retweets. They have 8,000 followers, and this one only has 11 likes and 3 retweets. So it's not getting a lot of traction. Have the student who is most comfortable, 6 likes, 1 retweet with 8,000 people. That seems like seems a little low. And what's the difference between this one? Give students tips and resources to help them shift. So maybe this is just too vague. Whereas this one, beware of your expert blind spot, is maybe a more specific piece of advice that people liked. Incorporate student presentations into your class as a form of assessment. I think that's a great piece of advice. Only 4 likes, no retweets. 8,000 people seeing this and no retweets. What is this linked to? Another website? Okay. CS teaching tips. Browse all tips. So, I mean, the problem with their site, is that this is just hard to navigate and use. Or maybe they're collecting tips from a whole bunch of different sources, and that's what they're presenting over here. Let me choose Scratch. So I could filter by Scratch. Actually, this would be useful for me. Why does it say 1,000 likes? Oh, anyone could just like it, I guess, without having to sign in or anything. Some of these actually could be helpful for me to use myself, to actually create content on. So students have trouble understanding between the glide and go-to blocks. So that, I mean, the difference between glide and go-to blocks. That's something I could, more ideas. Students have difficulty distinguishing between the broadcast and say blocks in Scratch. The broadcast and say blocks? Really? I mean, maybe. You know what I actually saw? Like, I saw some like YouTuber. I think she crossed the 200,000 subscriber mark, and she was saying that she did a lot of like X versus Y type of videos helped her grow a bunch, because people will like Google search like I don't know, Apple versus Microsoft, or a lot of people do like a lot of versus type searches. So maybe different brands or different products, and like including that in your videos or in the titles or in the post will help you, may help you. So I could imagine someone typing in like broadcast versus say in Scratch or something like that. I don't know. To me, it just seems like I don't see how someone would get those mixed up, the misconception, but it's definitely possible. I can't imagine how. Maybe it's being taught in a specific way that like just confuses students, or maybe teachers don't understand it themselves. But definitely this one. This one's one that I always hear. Like, what's the difference between the glide and the go-to? So I like this. This could be in Scratch. That's a video right there, And I mean, I already have. Do I? I think I have like a sprite movement video, but I don't have one that's exactly like this title. And if someone searches for that in Google, that'll help. Actually, let me go to Google and see. So they might type in Scratch, the difference between. Okay, here we go. So this is what people are searching: broadcast and broadcast and wait. Okay, so that's two. Those are two blocks right there. Scratch broadcast example, Scratch broadcast variable, Scratch how to stop broadcast. I mean, these are all videos. That'd be easy to bang out too. Like, I think one of the good things about doing this live stream is that I've become a little bit more comfortable with just like winging it, and I mean I think, whereas before it always felt like I had to have like a script. I wanted to make sure that like my script was perfect, and that I like spoke well, or whatever. But when you're live streaming, there is no script that's 60 hours long, So you kind of just have to like wing it and just have to keep saying stuff and keep talking. And at the same time, trying not to say ums, likes, as much, which I'm definitely guilty of. I've rewatched some of my streams, like, or pieces of it, and I just did it again. And I use a lot of uhs and ums to fill in the like pauses, or I guess when I'm thinking. I don't know. I wonder how much you can actually get better at not saying or us, or pausing like that. Okay, Scratch wait until. That was another one that I mentioned before. For advanced, there's a wait until. Where is it? Not the repeat until. Well, others. There's others. Okay. Maybe someone types in Scratch MIT tutorial. Scratch coding. What are people typing in that I could create that would maybe show up? Scratch coding. Actually, I could do a Scratch coding book review. Scratch coding book review, maybe with whatever the name of the title of the book is, because I do have a couple. Scratch coding book review. And that's another thing. You tag the author, who probably has a few thousand followers, and boom, now you got So basically, what I'm working on or thinking about is a strategy for getting more impressions. So how do I get more people to see what I've created? That's the question. So you're throwing all these messages in a bottle out in the ocean, and you're trying to get more people to pick up the bottles on other continents. So, to use an analogy, I could definitely Scratch coding for kids. What comes up here? So Udemy shows up? No. There's a Udemy course. No way. 42 students. Okay, so it's not like there's like thousands of people that bought this. Programming for kids and beginners. Wow, look at this one. Oh, jeez. This has 15,000 students. Just so you know, like just to make it a little bit easier. Let's say that this person is getting, I don't know what they get on Udemy, like maybe like half. But let's say they get $5, or let's say they get 10 to make the math a little bit easier. So $10, let's say he's taking home for almost 15,000 students, that's $150,000. Let's just say that it's half of, let's just be very conservative. Let's say they're getting $5. So this dude made at least $75,000 off of this course that he created of 7.5 hours of video. Really interesting. I can't believe that this many people paid for a Scratch 3.0. But maybe it's the title. Maybe this is what people are searching for. Programming for kids and beginners. How about coding? Coding for kids and beginners. How do I remove this background? There we go. And I want to make it smaller. These are 24. This is 32. So let's make it 24, and we'll make it white. Coding for kids and beginners. I mean, because I don't want to copy the exact same. Learn to code in Scratch. Learn to code using Scratch. So just a little difference. So these are things that I could either posts to make or videos to make or something. Now with Scratch 2.0, learn and program, create games, have fun in Scratch. Creating a game in Scratch. That could be a good video or a good article or thing. For kids, teachers, beginners, parents, and teachers. Wow. In this course, we'll learn to code starting from basic blocks. No kidding. Scratch, the programming we'll use, is so fun that it makes programming. We'll learn by doing. Learn. I mean, maybe that could be like a series, like learn by doing, and then have whatever the topic is. Or learn blank by doing. We train our intuition to make sense of what we want to achieve and how to get there. We learn to create. Maybe animations in Scratch. I'm blown away. I had no idea that this existed. And it's only 7.5 hours of content. Just think about that. Like, let's just say that it took 5 times as long. It took him, let's say, 5 times as long to plan it as it did to and edit it as much content as he has. So he has 7.5 hours. So that's like, let's say 35 hours he might have spent. Maybe let's round up. Let's say 40 hours. So he spent a week doing all this stuff, working 8 hours a day. And that is worth, 1 week of work is worth, for this dude, at least $75K. So that's pretty cool. Coding for kids. What else is there? Teach your kids to code, learn Python. 5,000? Wow, there are a lot of people. A lot of people learning this, having their kids learn this stuff. Very, very, 226,000 students are learning coding for kids on Udemy. You know, it would be terrible if someone's like taking my videos and using them. Like, I know I've heard of this, like people taking YouTube videos and creating like Udemy courses with someone else's videos. That would be horrible. But I think it's very unlikely someone's done that to me, but it's definitely not impossible. So this one's how to create the snake game. Maybe Flappy Bird. Flappy Bird is in Scratch. So these are like clickbaity type of like, actually it could be like making Flappy Bird in Scratch in 24 hours or something silly, like 10 hours. Where it makes people like want to click and like view how you did it. If you like, you know, edit it down to like 10 minutes. Let's see. Crossing the road game with the crab. Now this is just like, I guess a bunch of projects. But still, 4,000 students. That's nothing to sneeze at. Okay. So let's see what else. What else is Google showing up here? What would someone type? Scratch coding. Scratch tutorial. Step by step. Make your first program. I'm looking for some step-by-step tutorials aimed at a couple beginners that show you how to create something workable or interesting. Oh, another good resource to look at is definitely the Scratch forums. So you could see what people are posting or asking about, and then try to create topics that reach a lot of people, a general audience. So let's see. Those are the announcements. New scratchers. Explanation. No. Welcome to Scratch. Now what? New scratcher guide. How to use the forum. Helpful topics. Hi, I'm new. Okay, this isn't really too helpful. Let's see what they're. Creating your first project. Create your first project. Is the block overview, block categories. Scratch block categories. That might be something useful to make. All right. Frequently asked questions. What are people asking? How to become a good scratcher. So maybe becoming good at Scratch, or becoming good at coding in Scratch. So that's a video. These are all topics, either articles and or videos. Okay, so let's see. Finish my first project. Now what? Sharing your project. Sharing your Scratch projects. My project isn't getting views. Can I decide what is on the front page? Short answer is not right now. The only way you will able to decide what's on the front page is by no. Coding blocks. What's the Scratch editor? What's a sprite? That again. Where is that? What's a sprite? That's definitely important. Let me make that this light green here. How can I get more views? Show and tell. It's a great question. You tell me. Can I tell other users about my projects? How do I get famous on Scratch? What a question. And I guess these people are posting, they're posting in their signature, they're posting like links to their own projects, I guess. So some people are posting in these forums. Come audition for my animated series. Interesting. A podcast. My podcast on communication and how it applies to Scratch. Someone literally made a podcast in Scratch? No way. There's no way. Let's see. It's really loud.
On any given day, I think it's safe to say that we communicate. What exactly is it, though? And how did...
I love this. That is so cool that someone did that. Oh, that's great. I'm very impressed. I'm very surprised and impressed. This is like a whole little, almost like a website, almost like a Flash website from back in the day. That's what it kind of reminds me of and feels like. Wow, it's crazy. All right. What is a scratcher? How to become a scratcher? Finally, how to become a scratcher. I am in a computer math class, and we're doing a project where we make a game with leaderboards. Unfortunately, as a new scratcher, I don't have access to cloud variables. Any workarounds? Cloud variables, that's another advanced topic. Cloud variables. Uh-oh. We're back in 2014. There are a lot of different things we're missing here. All right, that's enough. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of topics we got here. Is there anything else? I think that's enough. Everything you need to know. These scratch guides. There's so many links. I can't imagine that someone would go through all of them. Either just stumble upon the one that you want, or stumble upon something that you Google, or that's pretty much it. Questions about Scratch? Need help with Scratch projects? Developing Scratch extensions. That's interesting to like a really advanced person. I'm actually curious. How to use the Scratch API. I mean, that's interesting, making your own Scratch extension. That's kind of interesting. But it's a little bit too advanced for like the stuff that I do for this thing, for someone who's new to Scratch. Help with bobbing up and down. How do I make gravity? That's a great question. But only 36 views. But still, I like that one. That one's going to be fun. Let me make these all a different color because... So simulating gravity in Scratch. That could be helpful for anyone. How to detect if an answer is correct. Checking the right answer. I guess that goes with getting user input. How to get user input. Maybe how to check a user's answer. And that kind of ties into how to do math in Scratch. So maybe after that I do this, or maybe the how to check goes under the how to do math. Let's see, what else was there? How to detect if an answer is correct. How to check a user's answer. How to detect an answer. How do you add video? No. Sliding animation. These are the most recent ones. These are all posted today. Let's see. Is there an unless block? That's a good question. How do I make gravity? Help me make a top-down scrolling game. Interesting. Random number generator. How to make a circle with the pen tool. That's gotten a lot of views. So, how to draw a circle in Scratch. Drawing an oval with the pen. That's kind of like drawing a circle. How to create a grid movement system. That's a good question. How do I make a sprite stand on a sprite? How do I make a Plants vs. Zombie style game? Point to XY. Oh, that makes sense. Some of these are old also, these responses. Okay, so I mean, there are some ideas that I could, let's see, Scratch how to draw a circle, a line, a square, a triangle, a pentagon. How to draw shapes. How to draw shapes in Scratch. Scratch MIT coding tutorial. What shows up then? Videos, make a Flappy Bird game. Look familiar? Make your first program. Scratch, so they did it in 2 hours. Oh, this is Free Code Camp also. I like Free Code Camp. But I'm not going to try to compete with them making a Flappy Bird game. They've already done it and Google's already promoting this one. Because some of these, if I'm going to do projects, they have to be fun for me also, because otherwise I'm going to go crazy. All right. Is Scratch real coding? That's a great question. How do you code in Scratch? How do you Scratch MIT? How do you read block-based coding? Something on block-based coding. Block-based versus text-based coding. Maybe that's the title. All right, that's enough. That's enough ideas. Okay, so I said I'm going to create categories. Temple Run, Jetpack. I like Temple. I like Temple Run. Creating Temple Run. That's one when they're like running and you could like swipe left and right and like jump over the things. And what is it like? How far you can go? How long you can go running? Without falling into a thing or something, or getting hit, or running into something, or getting hit by something. Fruit Ninja. Creating Fruit Ninja in Scratch. Yeah, I mean, these are good ideas. What's Jetpack Joyride? Never heard of it before. But yeah, like recreating popular games in Scratch is definitely is probably a good idea. Jetpack Joyride. Let me see a GIF of it. Almost reminds me, it's like a, when do you jump? It's like almost like a Flappy Bird then, right? But you could also run. Jetpack Joyride. It looks like a flap. Yeah, it's like a Flappy Bird. Flappy Bird meets plus running. Kind of reminds me of like a Mega Man almost, the character. I mean, if he had like a little helmet or something. This is what I'm talking about. Or maybe a side scroller. How to create a side scroller in Scratch. And I mean, using that, if you can create a side scroller, then you could like some of these games are, based off of that. All right, so we have some ideas. Let's see if there's anything else from these tips that I can take. Students think costumes are outfits rather than the overall appearance of a sprite. I mean, yes, but it could be outfits too. But I mean, if you color the outfits or if you put outfits on your character. So maybe what would be the thing to do? How to use costumes. What did I did something on costumes. How to add a sprite, move a sprite. How to change a sprite's costume, but maybe I didn't go over what is a costume. What is a costume? Teach students how the XY coordinate system works before having them use motion blocks in Scratch, so they don't get confused by positive and negative numbers. Yeah, I mean at some age they have to learn though, and I made a video on that once. I have a video on that on the coordinate plane, but I don't know how helpful it is to like a third grader, let's say. Introduce young students to degrees, decimals, and percentages so they can use turn and sound blocks in Scratch. So that is on the docket for intermediate. The turn blocks, how to change a sprite's direction. What else? So that's the degrees. Decimals and percentages. I mean, you have to like... actually, that's like a math lesson, but I guess percentages could work. Okay, maybe how percentages work in Scratch. So I can think of with the size, like if someone's trying to do like change the size of something. Set size to 100%. Is there any other ones that works with percentages? Set size to 100%. I think that's the only one. I guess the set size block. But I wouldn't really use how percentages work in Scratch. I would just do how the size block works in Scratch. Something like that. But I already have it. Do I have it somewhere else? Oh no, that's the only place. So yeah, how the size block works. What else? Students have difficulty transitioning from working with one sprite to multiple sprites. Okay, I think the question would be, or the difficulty that students have is that they don't know. Like they see this programming area, but they don't realize that they're just coding for the banana. So some of them will be like, okay, now I want to add code for my cat. Let's just say the cat was showing. They might say, okay, I want to add code for my banana. Like right now it's selected on the cat. And so then they start doing things and then they hit run and it doesn't work. So what is how do you capture that misconception? Or what would you say? Maybe working with multiple sprites. Okay. How to code multiple sprites. Sama, what do you got? You got anything better? How would you word that? How to code multiple sprites in Scratch. How to program. What would a kid say or think? How do I code these two sprites? How do I code these characters in Sprite? I don't know. I don't know how they would say it. But that's the idea. I think that's where the misconception comes in. They struggle at knowing which is the active character or sprite, which is the active sprite. So that is active sprite. You're stuck on that. It's tough. I just think that students don't know, like they'll be coding in the programming area and not realizing, oh my goodness, Command Z just deletes. What did I just do? Did I lose that? Wow, in Safari, Command Z doesn't just how do I, okay, I guess it did undo it, but then it went back to a different tab. That's weird. That's a hard one. I think what you said is fine, yeah. Most students think the positioning of scripts within the script area in Scratch influences the order in which they're executed. That's interesting. I didn't even think of that. Does the order of code, does the order, I want to say scripts, but I don't think a kid seeing that will understand. Does the order of the code matter in Scratch? So in a script it matters. The sequence of the code matters, but not like the separate scripts. Why doesn't my sprite move? Do you think someone would search for that? You could list a bunch of... Okay, that's good, actually. Why your sprite may not be moving. So the list reasons. So that's like a debugging Scratch kind of thing. So common debugging errors or issues. Why doesn't the sprite move? Or why is the sprite not moving? Almost like troubleshooting the issues, like trying to like go over the different things you can try if something doesn't work the way you want it to. Having students create a digital story. That's just like a project. I don't know. Explicitly show students how to log into Scratch because not all students have the same level of computer literacy. I mean, maybe. But I mean, if someone can't log into Scratch, are they even going to find my video? Are they going to go to Google or YouTube and search? But I mean, I guess someone could share it with them. How to log into Scratch. Maybe creating a Scratch account. That's important. Those are important. Creating a Scratch account and how to log into Scratch. Those are really important. And that's actually definitely for beginners. And I didn't even cover that. That's for like absolute beginners though. I don't know. If you want to save your work. Maybe how to save your work in Scratch. Create an account, log in. Let's see. Students get frustrated when they try to point their character to the left and it ends up flipped upside down. That is a very, very common issue. And I made a couple videos on it. The set rotation style video that I made but I guess I could do better with a better title. So that's another debugging Scratch. Why doesn't my character face the right way? But I mean, is that what someone would Google? Why doesn't my sprite, why doesn't the sprite face the right way? Maybe. Students get frustrated when, okay, or maybe pointing a sprite left or right. Kind of rhymes, but just by chance. I'm just trying to think of like how would someone stumble upon that if that's their issue, if they're stuck on that. Sprite facing left, but I don't know. Okay, misconception. Students forget that without instructions, other users won't know how to correctly run their code in Scratch. That is so true. Everyone makes Scratch projects knowing how it works, but then when they share it, they forget to put instructions in the, how about sharing your Scratch project? And we'll add best, what's it called? Best practices. Instructions, there might be other things that would be a best practice. Tell young students about that programming is simply writing rules for a computer to follow, similar to bossing around a younger sibling. Help them connect programming to everyday life. Maybe how coding is like following instructions. How computers read code. Maybe something like that. How computers follow instructions or read code. And just like a simple explanation. Start teaching Scratch with blocks that run for a set amount of time to avoid the common misconception that blocks are executed simultaneously. Okay, so that's way advanced for most students. Students think that turn blocks in Scratch imply a change in position within the coordinate plane. Really? I mean, maybe. Scratch how turn blocks work. I mean, I will cover that. So I think I was saying before, I can't remember if I finished my thought, where I was saying that one of the good things I think that has come out of this live streaming thing is that I think I'll be able to just like start recording a video without needing a perfect script, and just like, you know, go over and do the things that I want to do on screen, and then it'll save me time with editing. So sometimes like making a video is very time consuming, because like I'll write a script, I'll think about different ways to explain something, and I think it would serve me better to just have like a simple like outline just to make sure I hit certain points, kind of like this. Rather than, you know, in this video, I'm going to show, and like having the whole script for the video, which is like sometimes how I've done it, like a lot of the times. So live streaming, I think, has helped me with just saying things like off the top of my head, even if it doesn't come out perfect, even if it comes out like less desirably, it's still faster and easier to I guess explain more things. Have students create polygons in Scratch. Help them practice debugging and reasoning about geometry. So that kind of goes with drawing a shape. Where did I have that? How to draw shapes in Scratch. Maybe mentioning geometry. But I don't know. Encourage students to be careful when using sound blocks in Scratch that don't have durations. That's another debugging definitely another debugging Scratch thing where, but I think I mentioned it in the play video, in the play sound video. Actually, you know what? I could definitely make a video on that. So I think I already did, but what's the difference between that and that? I don't think I made it. Hold on. Let's see what I called it. I probably just said, like, you know, how to play a sound. Play a random sound. Sound. Play a random sound. Yeah, so maybe I could do another video and just say the difference between the two sound blocks, these two sound blocks that I just pointed out. Play sound until done versus start sound. So what's the difference between these two? And like, I think if there's a good thumbnail, someone would see the two blocks and be like, oh, that's how it works. Like someone who's using sounds, they'll see that if I put both of these blocks in the thumbnail, they'll be like, yes, I've gotten stuck on that, and they might be more likely to click it. Let me close this. Students think that a repeat one block in Scratch will execute the relevant script twice, where the script executes once and then repeats once. Really? Repeat one? So they think it'll do it. The repeat one is just do it one. Repeat this once. Let's see. How do you, that's another debugging Scratch, I guess. The repeat block. The repeat block. Encourage students to use blocks instead of the user interface when orienting the sprite in Scratch. So that's starting tips, maybe tips for sprites. Tips for sprites when the green flag is clicked. Or maybe when the green flag is clicked, tips for sprites. So that's where it could be the, we can cover the starting positions, pointing in direction to make sure that if there's any turns or anything like that, point in direction, show, hide, set size percentage, just making sure that everything is consistent. Costume, set costume. You want to make sure everything is set the way you would want it to be when the green flag is clicked. Okay. Have students reset a script and store it in their Scratch backpack so they could use it. So I already made a backpack one. Students get confused about whether to set or change variables in Scratch. That's a good one. Okay. Setting versus changing variables in Scratch. So going over situations to do each. It's a little bit more advanced, but I mean, look at all of these different things we can make. Okay. Point out Scratch's built-in variables before students create their own variables, so that students become familiar with variable-related blocks. Maybe built-in variables in Scratch. So like the answer block is one of them. X position, Y position. So there's a whole bunch of blocks that already exist in Scratch that they're variables. They're reporter blocks that report a value. Okay. Actually, that's good. Let students solve problems a long, hard, intuitive way first to motivate the use of more advanced scratch blocks that could help them solve problems in a shorter, faster, more flexible way. Absolutely. That's how I work also. Almost always, when I solve a problem, I almost always like brute force it, or do it like the whatever way seems easier, even if it's not efficient. And once I figure it out, once I get the thing to actually work, then I work to make it efficient and do it shorter, faster, better, or whatever. But I normally resort to, just the way my brain works, to like the most inefficient, not the most inefficient way, but usually an inefficient way of like solving the problem. And then I think about the problem more and come up with better solutions. That's just the way I work. Encourage students to break up their Scratch scripts into smaller chunks to help them test and debug their code. Okay, maybe I think I did a video on how to debug. Or three tips for debugging. But maybe that was not a good title. 3 tips to stay sane while debugging. Maybe I should just do debugging tips in Scratch. And we'll come up with a more up-to-date version. All right, what else? I mean, these are some great ideas. I'm really like upset about this WikiHow thing, because they're showing like Scratch 2.0. They're showing an ad everywhere. They're probably making so much money off all these ads if people are clicking on this link. And it's annoying that it's like literally, it's putting the solution right there. But maybe it's the way Google crawls through this, and oh my goodness, should I be going about it like this? Because maybe when Google crawls a page trying to find an answer to something, if it sees steps and if it sees a list, an ordered list, it's more likely to kind of maybe grab screenshots. So, I mean, I'm sure this is, I'm not sure of it, but I would think that this was probably crawled by Google. So their algorithm is probably going through posts. It's finding pictures and finding steps, and then just like putting that as the answer. So I think I'm going to take a screenshot of this. This should be my model. And look at this. Look at the title for this article. How to make your character move on Scratch. How to make your character move on Scratch, 7 steps. So if I recreate that, if I emulate that, can I throw in a picture here? This is the Holy Grail. What I mean by that is that, sure, convert, I don't care. What I mean by that, can I delete this now? Yes. Is that if I model my posts after this with the same kind of title, well, that's why I did how to do X and Y in my titles. Easy Scratch tutorial, how to move a character, how to move a moving character, Scratch tutorial. So a lot of these have Scratch tutorial. Well, 2 out of the 3 here have them. How to build, how to make your, how to Scratch simple move. So having how to, okay, let me break down the wording I should use. How to blank with Scratch, or in Scratch, which is in Scratch. Titles. How to make a sprite move with the arrow keys on Scratch. Scratch tutorial, that's another one. And then, a colon and then the title. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to like reverse engineer how Google is presenting, either videos or posts when someone's looking for the answer. And I want to make sure that I model my, this could make sense, how to add a sprite. I should probably add in Scratch. How to move a sprite on the stage in Scratch. How to set starting positions for sprites in Scratch. Maybe I should just add in Scratch on everything, and or maybe not. Like I don't know. Maybe I'll see if anyone I know like knows anything about Google and how their search engine is doing that. Maybe that doesn't even matter at all. Maybe it's just they're looking at connections or links and links to this from other websites and seeing if it's on Twitter or something like that. And me adding in Scratch on everything won't have any effect. Maybe, who knows? But this picture definitely. I should have like an unordered. This one's an ordered list. An ordered list says steps and has pictures for each. Maybe that's just like you do that, and Google's crawler will like nail it and present that, which would be great. So I have to make sure. I'm gonna look at my posts that I've created already, and see if I can modify them to be. So look at this, task 1. But I should just name the steps. Just name it steps. Number 1, make a new document or visit that. This one's the closest one I have, I think, to those steps. How to add a sprite, but I don't have steps. I got to make this into steps. And maybe I'm going extreme with this, but I think I just have to do it. I have to go all in and see if it works. Okay, so that's one thing. That was helpful to think through. Encourage students to make sprites smaller when making games in order to ease gameplay and make it more fun. Yeah, I could see that being a problem when students create games and they just throw in whatever sprite and it just comes out huge. Make your character smaller, and that's what it would be. So instead of set size, where is it? Size. Let me search for the size. How about instead of how the size block works in Scratch, I would do how to make your character or sprite smaller. And then that's going to be on the size block. That's going to be all about the size block. How to make your sprite smaller in Scratch. Show multiple examples of iteration. Students often forget to include a forever block around if blocks. Yes. That's a very common bug. Debugging Scratch. My if block doesn't work. And so this needs a forever surrounding. Or nest in forever. Nest it in a forever block. So what happens is students will have like an if block attached to when green flag is clicked. So it's really only checking if a condition's true when the green flag is clicked. So they should nest it in a forever block connected to the green flag is clicked event, and then it'll work. Variables, add wait blocks. Let students write bad code. That's fine. I guess that's a tip. But then you got to like ask students, how can you make this better? You don't just have them write bad code and then or use bad practices and then never reflect. So I don't think they're saying that, but just make sure you don't forget. When designing early CS courses, use tools with familiar interfaces like programs to drag and drop. Okay, that's fine. Motivate students by having them explore projects. Pair programming. Ask students if the games they are designing are games that they'd want to keep, that they'd want to buy to keep students making progress towards learning. Who's going to ask that? I don't know. I think that's too weird to ask. Students struggle with the on mouse press method. There is no on mouse. This is not Java. Oh yeah, I guess maybe this is just CS tips. I thought maybe I guess I thought it was just all Scratch. Didn't I search for Scratch? I did search for Scratch. Someone just miscategorized it. Okay. Step-by-step demonstrations of how to perform a test, introduce new problem-solving skills to students. Okay. It's kind of what I was going for with my videos. Reverse engineering existing Scratch projects. That's great. I highly recommend that. I do that with my teachers that I work with. Individual blocks in Scratch can be tested by double-clicking them in the block library. So they know this useful non-intuitive trick. Maybe how to use a block without. No, I don't know how I would word that. Students get confused reconciling the coordinate system with the points Scratch uses as the center for sprites. I could see that being tricky. I don't know how I would explain that. What are you trying to do when they ask for help? Loops can be difficult. Okay, that's Scratch Junior. Oh wow, we're about a little less than 3 minutes away. That's nice. Tell students to experiment and break things so they maximize their learning opportunities. Allocate the last 15 minutes of class for students to share their work. So these are definitely good tips for teachers. Keep the scripting area organized. All right, I think this might be the last one, right? Yes, this is the last section, which works perfectly. Students transitioning from Scratch to App Inventor are often surprised to not have a wait block. Okay, students incorrectly believe that variables passed into block will get modified. However, the copy is what the block receives. Use sounds. I mean, you could use sounds, or I personally use say blocks, or say for like 2-second blocks. Use snap as a more advanced alternative to Scratch. I agree, but it is more advanced. Assign students to draw a dodecagon in Scratch before introducing repeat blocks. Actually, that might be a good way to introduce how to draw a shape. This brings in the repeat block. Let's start with a square. Start with a square inefficiently. Have students use simple functions in Scratch to create games. Use Scratch to teach programming with neurodiversity because of the visual nature. Okay. Have students write knock-knock jokes by making conversations between sprites. I have a video on that. I don't think I did knock-knock jokes, but I did conversations. Emphasize that Scratch is real coding. Yes. Suggest that students use the when green flag is clicked block when creating clones in Scratch to avoid exponential cloning. Encourage students to use create your own block to store procedures in Scratch. Yes, I have that make your own block in my advanced section right now. And have students simulate, use Droplet, a block-based text editor. I mean, I also have the things of list, the list blocks in Scratch. Create a handout that translates code in Scratch to code in Logo or other. No, not interested. All right, so we went through all of the teaching tips that were related to Scratch. I mean, there's definitely some good tips here for any teachers or anyone learning computer science or coding in school, in K through 12 probably. So some of these are definitely, I'm going to have to go through and see if I could make content about it. But we did it. I think we're going to call it. We did it, Mark. 60 hours. I didn't even notice. I wasn't even looking. But we crossed the 60-hour mark. That was a lot of hours. That was a lot of standing. I did stand for vast majority of the 60 hours. So I said this before, I'm going to say it again. I'm probably not going to do another streaming thing like this on my YouTube channel. The next time I stream on YouTube will probably be like a monthly Q&A, like, ask me a coding or CS question or something like that on the last Saturday of every month or something. Or maybe like every other Saturday or something. I don't know. We'll see. I can't plan it or schedule it now because I have no idea what I'm going to do or what I'm going to do next. Yes. So Sama, the bet, I won the bet, but so did my friend. So we basically just canceled each other out. So that was a little frustrating because he won his side of the bet like a week ago. So basically I was doing all this to not lose, not to really make extra money. but that's what happens sometimes when you make a bet against a friend and they're betting also. So it was a challenge bet. And that was fun. I really did enjoy streaming and interacting with some of you and forcing myself to have to code and explain what I'm thinking and do all that stuff and be frustrated and keep putting in the hours. I think for like the first 30, 35 hours or so, I was working on not the first. The first episode I did JavaScript, just JavaScript, pure vanilla JavaScript. I made that count up timer that you see on the bottom right of the screen right now. So I made that in JavaScript in the first episode. The second episode, we played around with P5, and then we started doing some Angular stuff, I think. So yeah, so that is that's 60 hours. That's the stream. I'm probably going to put out a video tomorrow. Not probably. I am going to put out a video tomorrow on what I learned, basically repeating what I just said. Maybe making like a time lapse of this thing and seeing what that looks like. I don't know if it's just going to look crazy if I do like a 60-hour time lapse in like a minute or whatever. We'll see what it looks like. I don't know. I don't even know if my software will let me do that. We'll see. I mean, it'll let me do something. I'll figure it out. But I'd like to post a video tomorrow and just keep posting videos, but not live streaming like this for 2, 3, 4 hours at a time. Not on YouTube. If I'm going to do that again, I'm going to do it on Twitch. So that is in my plan over here. I have it down here. So Twitch, if I'm ever going to stream again like this, it's going to be done on Twitch. 60 hours and 60 seconds. Yes. So I'm going to have to, what is that? 100x? I don't even know. I have to do the math. We'll have to see if I could do that. Every second would be an hour. Yeah. So every second would be an hour. So that would probably look crazy. So I'm gonna take the videos. I'm gonna download the videos from YouTube. I'm gonna see if I can make that time lapse, and I might have to. I mean, I don't know if it'll let me, but we'll try. We'll see what comes of it. So I guess we're gonna end here. We're gonna stop the clock officially at 60 hours and 4 minutes. There we go. We stopped exactly at 60 hours and 4 minutes. So it's been quite a fun ride. I don't think I've ever talked this much in my entire life as much as I've talked this month, or stood as much as I have this month. but I guess that's it. I think I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna send my friend a text saying we did it, and I will post a video tomorrow. Feel free to comment in there. Or if you want to, some of you know how to contact me if you need to ask me something or, want to catch up or anything. So feel free to do that. All right. I am going to go to bed. I'm exhausted. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you all of you for seeing this stuff. I don't know. I might even take down all these videos because it's just it's crowding up the channel. So I might just, or maybe if I unlist them, I don't know if they still show on a playlist if I unlist them all, but I'll probably end up taking them all down anyway. I won't delete them, but I'll just unlist them. All right. Bye everyone. Thank you for watching and thanks for following along as I did this bet. It was fun. I'll see you all later.